Hello everyone. In today's session, we will be discussing a topic boiler corrosion from Water Chemistry Module 4. The outcome of the discussion could be listed as follows. At the end of this session, the student would be able to define the term boiler corrosion, understand and explain the causes behind the decay of the boiler, write the reactions involved in the corrosion, list the disadvantages as well as quote some overcoming measures. Now before proceeding with the boiler corrosion, let us once quickly recall the last two sessions. Boiler feed water is always the purest form of water must be fed into the boiler, which is free from all the impurities, failed which it will be having some problems which we call as boiler problems. So first one discussed was scale and sludge formation, second one was priming and foaming, third listed there was boiler corrosion, which we are going to discuss here in this particular session. In this particular slide, the diagrammatic representation of boiler corrosion is shown. Huge boilers associated in the industries would be undergoing destruction due to the boiler corrosion. How simply we can define it as, it is nothing but decay or disintegration of the boiler material due to the presence of the impurities that are present in the boiler feed water. So, any impurity present in the boiler feed water, when causes the corrosion of the material of the boiler, we call it as boiler corrosion. Let us now see what are the different causes that may cause the boiler corrosion to happen. So three important elements, that is due to the presence of dissolved oxygen or carbon dioxide and the magnesium chloride, the boiler corrosion may takes place. Magnesium chloride in specific, in general you can say that dissolved salts present in the boiler cause the corrosion. Now let us see one by one how they are going to bring about the corrosion. First one is the corrosion happening due to the dissolved oxygen. So here one concept we must know, the dissolved oxygen written as DO or said as DO present in any raw water, concentration is about 8 to 9 parts per million. So this raw water is actually the one which we feed to the boiler. Now what happens is, at high temperature or when the water is heated, pressure inside the boiler would be high. So this dissolved oxygen would be converted into corresponding oxygen, or what we call it as free oxygen molecule will be evolved. This free oxygen molecule in turn would attack the boiler material. Boiler material is usually made up of iron as its main metal element. So oxygen would attack iron and corresponding oxidation reaction would happen. So the next statement is what reaction happened there. That is, iron of the boiler would be converted into corresponding hydroxide, and hydroxide is always unstable. So it would be oxidized further in the next step to the corresponding ferric oxide. Now let us see how reaction would be taking place inside the boiler. So here this reaction are not totally new to you. In module 2, when you studied electrochemical theory of corrosion, some of these reactions you had already studied. So you might feel it little bit comfortable to study. Let us once go through the reaction. So iron present in the boiler material would undergo oxidation. This is actually nothing but dissolved oxygen converted to oxygen gas. When water is continuously boiled, would be converted to corresponding hydroxide. So what is that hydroxide? Ferrous hydroxide. And what is the nature of ferrous hydroxide? The compound is highly unstable. And any unstable compound we come in contact with, it will be immediately reacting with further oxygen molecule to give ferric oxide or rust. Now if we see in total, what happened is, the iron present in the boiler is converted into its corresponding oxide. So it is nothing but the corrosion reaction. So once let us summarize the reactions happening in the boiler due to the presence of dissolved oxygen. So first it is iron will be converted into its hydroxide. The iron present would be converted to corresponding hydroxide, and next hydroxide being unstable would be converted to corresponding ferric oxide, or what we call it as rust of the boiler material. Now let us see the next set of reasons, or due to the presence of carbon dioxide, how corrosion of the boiler would be taking place. This reaction in fact is not new to you. The reaction, this one, the magnesium bicarbonate getting converted to the corresponding carbonate, magnesium bicarbonate to magnesium carbonate formation, is studied under scale and sludge formation. Same reaction we are re-quoting here, but now for us the important is the side product, that is the carbon dioxide. Now this reaction is nothing but the presence of bicarbonate undergoing decomposition reaction. So we can take the example of calcium bicarbonate or magnesium bicarbonate. On heating they would be precipitating as corresponding carbonates. Precipitation is shown in the immediate vicinity here. This is precipitation of calcium carbonate and precipitation of magnesium carbonate. Along with that, liberation of water and carbon dioxide takes place. Now what would happen with this carbon dioxide, we must see in the next slide. Very simple reaction, but yet very expensive as far as the material is concerned. Those molecules of water and carbon dioxide would liberate and they would generate a carbonic acid, and any acid when comes in contact with the metal, it corrodes the material. So carbon dioxide with the molecules of water would give carbonic acid, which being corrosive make the destruction of the article. So let us once see how carbon dioxide damages the boiler. So first here the bicarbonate would be undergoing decomposition to give carbon dioxide, and next carbon dioxide would be forming carbonic acid, and carbonic acid bring the corrosion reaction. Now let us see how dissolved salts bring the corrosion of the boiler. So one specific example is mentioned, that is the example of magnesium chloride. Now here the magnesium chloride undergoes a reaction what we call as hydrolysis. Simple reaction it is. Magnesium chloride undergoes hydrolysis at elevated temperature, so that magnesium hydroxide would be undergoing precipitation, and what is important here is formation of hydrochloric acid. In fact, this reaction also we study under scale and sludge formation, but there hydroxide was important because we were concentrating on precipitate. Now HCl is important because we are talking about corrosion. So let us once summarize here what happened. So magnesium chloride like salt would undergo hydrolysis to generate hydrochloric acid, and any mineral acid when come in contact with the metal, it can bring the corrosion of the article. So sometimes this type of corrosion is also called as mineral acid corrosion of the boiler. Now let us see how many reactions are involved in the same. Here actually sequential reaction is expected, that is the iron, that is nothing but representation of the boiler, would undergo reaction with the hydrochloric acid to give the corresponding chloride, that is ferrous chloride FeCl2, and that FeCl2 would immediately react with the molecules of water to give the corresponding hydroxide. And what is the nature of hydroxide? We know already. This reaction is already studied one. The ferrous hydroxide then undergoes again oxidation to give corresponding ferric oxide or rust. This reaction we study under dissolved oxygen. So here only two new reaction to study, that is ferrous iron to ferrous chloride formation, then ferrous chloride to ferrous hydroxide formation. Another thing to note here, very important. See the second reaction, that is ferrous chloride on reaction would yield hydrochloric acid. Now let us go to the previous slide. Here magnesium chloride undergoes hydrolysis to give HCl. If we compare, both the reactions are in fact same. Both are chloride salts, both undergoes hydrolysis to give the corresponding hydroxide, as well as they are going to give the hydrochloric acid. So we have a note here now. Once the HCl is formed in the medium, then it is continued to be there by chain like mechanism. That is, the regeneration of HCl would be taking place and the process would be cyclic. I hope you can get this. HCl would again go and reach the iron and the reaction is on. Once the reaction of HCl generation starts, it will be continuous and destruction of the article would be taking place till the failure of the boiler. So let us once quickly go through the three different type of corrosions. One is due to the dissolved oxygen, where ferrous is oxidized to ferric oxide. Then due to carbon dioxide, where carbonic acid is formed which destroys the article. Third one is due to the formation of hydrochloric acid, and hydrochloric acid would bring the destruction of iron to hydroxide and hydroxide to the corresponding oxides. Adverse effects are simple and direct because any corrosion would actually end up in the failure of the article, as we have already studied. So here are some points under adverse effect which could be easily understood. So first one is shortening of the boiler life. Second problem could be leakages at joints and rivets. Then increased cost of maintenance, also destruction of the boilers. The syllabus discussion is restricted till the definition of boiler corrosion, causes and reactions involved. In order to have a closure to the discussion as a part of completion, I am giving the overcoming measures listed. These are simple, you can understand by going through. So let us see one by one the overcoming measures. So first one possible is removal of dissolved oxygen, that is by mechanical de-aeration process. Then second one is, we know that at room temperature dissolved oxygen is 8 to 9 ppm. So if we go for high temperature feed water, the dissolved oxygen content would be low, so that the process could be, or corrosion could be avoided. Same principle is employed by using hot condensate of water. Actually any boiler would generate steam and we would be obviously getting a condensate of water. Now by some means, if you can refeed that, then that would be also having less dissolved oxygen. In fact, this method is more economical because less fuel will be consumed in this particular case. Then fourth approach is addition of oxygen scavengers. So any chemical which added in small concentration, if it removes another chemical, you can call them as scavengers. So example given is sodium sulfite. It immediately combines with oxygen molecules and oxygen could be removed. Also we can remove the dissolved salts because they would cause the generation of acids, and by chance any corrosive gases are there, that also could be removed when the process of boiling the boiler feed water is started. Also, if by chance acid is generated, it could be treated with the alkali. They are counter chemicals. Acid and alkali react, so that alkali is base, so acid and base would react so that it could be neutralized and corrosion could be avoided. So in the current discussion we have seen what is boiler corrosion, what are the different causes, and the reactions, effects and overcoming measures. So this actually completes the discussion of boiler feed water and the problems associated. The next discussion of module 4 would be sewage water, the treatment of sewage water and some quality check parameters to see the extent of pollution in sewage water. Let us discuss those part in the next session. Thank you.